Hey, you looking for a podcast where you can hear from some of the great hockey legends, listen to them tell some stories, find out what they're up to today? Well, this is the right place to be. It's the Domino's Pizza Overtime Podcast. I'm your host, Gino Redden. Today's guest, a two-time Stanley Cup champion. He won it all with the Dallas Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's now enjoying retirement, having returned to live in Kamloops as part owner of the WHL's Kamloops Blazers, where he lives with his wife and 4 sons. So pleased to be joined by our good friend, and I'm really looking forward to catching up with Darryl Sydor. Darryl, welcome to the show, my friend. Great to catch up with you again.
Yeah, no, it's always good to catch up, and thank you for having me.
For those who can see Darryl on the podcast right now, you look like you are in heaven, man. It looks like you're on kind of an outdoor deck, wooden deck with the TV behind you. Are you in your glory in Kamloops? Is that where you are right now?
You know what? We moved back here in 2018, 2019, and this is where the kids wanted to come. I was done with my coaching, and it's where we played. It's where my wife grew up, and Kamloops, British Columbia, anywhere in British Columbia is really nice. But Kamloops, we really love it here. There's everything to do, and it's just we still have good weather, so we're not getting any snow yet.
And you had some success there as a player. You want to share that with our audience? You made history.
It was a lot of fun. I came here when I was 16 years old. I was actually coming to Kamloops. This is before they had the draft. I was listed when I was 11 years old. So I was coming here, and Hitch was here. And that's how I kind of got to know Hitch a little bit, as I had all these different training camps with him until I came here at 16. Obviously, we've had some good teams. We went to the Memorial Cup twice and won it all once in Seattle. But, the memories that we made here, with Hitch and Mr. Brown and Colin Day as kind of the president and owner, and just the city. We have a lot of people that come back that have played here, maybe not gone on to careers, but they stayed here and created their own lives. So we have a lot of alumni that still live around Kamloops.
You're part of the ownership group now with the Blazers. Are you still involved with the team?
Yes, we are. Yeah, we're still all part owner of the team. We really care about the team and the city. And that's why we, many years, it's going on many years now that we've had it. And we try and bring back that tradition that we've kind of all left, because there's an owner kind of each kind of era with Mark, myself, Shane, and Jerome. And then obviously with Tom, being a majority, but he also from Kamloops. But, we just wanted to bring it back to the city and get back to that tradition.
For those who may not recall Darryl's career, I think Darryl, I was lucky enough to cover your entire career while you were in the league, and saw you go through some incredible successes with Cups, both in Dallas and Tampa. And just to give our audience a perspective, Darryl was the kind of guy that when you had a team that you thought you could do well with, and you said, we're just missing one more piece, let's bring in another piece, because you were in my mind, one of the great performers of all time in the playoffs. What was it about the playoffs that brought the best out of you at that time of year?
You know what? I think that's a good question. I think when we had a successful team here in Kamloops and played a lot of playoffs, we were able to win. And then my first full year in LA, we went to the playoffs and obviously went to the Stanley Cup final.
Can I remind our audience of the guys that you were playing with in that year?
And these are the guys that I've learned from. Yeah, go ahead.
Gretzky, Luc Robitaille, Rob Blake, Paul Coffey. It wasn't a bad group of guys.
No, we had Charlie Huddy, Tim Waters. I look back at some of these times. It's great to be able to look back and see who you played with. But you know what? We missed the playoffs that year. We did win the Stanley Cup, but then we missed the playoffs in LA for the next 5 years. And, I was young. Dave Taylor that was his first time. And then obviously that was his last year. This is my first year, and I'm thinking we're going to do this all the time. This is pretty easy, but it's not, right? And so maybe everybody knows you got preseason, regular season, even through regular season, how it ramps up. And, the last little bit of the regular season is awesome for those teams. Just, it's kind of like playoff hockey, but then it wraps up again. And I think it's just something that you've learned and you've gone through maybe missing it. The one thing though, like you mentioned about maybe a player here and there, the game of hockey has changed. Let's not. It's faster. It's harder. Guys are bigger and shots are harder. But the one thing with hockey that I don't think has changed is winning championships and that sacrifice. And yeah, I go to another team. I go to Tampa Bay uh, I think it was in January. It was before
Yep.
the deadline, and you know what? You just try and fit in. You just kind of you see what's going on, and then and sacrifice. When I talk about sacrifice, it's about you'll have a great team, but then we also had Vinny Lecavalier doing the dirty stuff too. You
Yeah.
know, you have to sacrifice a little bit, and that hasn't changed. And that's what you see with teams that win now. Still, there's the one one ingredient.
I want to take you back to, well, I look back at it and I think the TSN turning point of the Cup final in 1993 with the Kings, and you know where I'm going with this, the illegal curve. They
Yeah.
got, just to set it up for audience, it's game two, the 1993 Cup final, the Gretzky-led Kings. You guys are up 1-0 in the series.
Yeah.
You're up 2-1 with, what was it, like under 2 minutes left, maybe a minute 45 left to go in the game.
Yeah. I think it was under. I think it was under a couple of minutes. Yeah.
So you're like 2 minutes away from taking a 2-0 lead in the Stanley Cup final. You guys are in great shape. And then Marty McSorley gets called for the illegal curve. You want to take us through that? What that was like on the bench when all of a sudden you saw, because no one ever called that. No one ever did that. But the Habs
Yeah.
was,
It's that was a tough tough one to swallow. I mean for everybody, but that in that we were playing in the old arena there, and just like the momentum was coming. They were putting pressure on. The momentum was coming, and Marty ended up getting. I guess he didn't switch his stick back in enough time, and there was a whistle, and he was caught in the far corner. So they had the opportunity. They had a couple guys that they were going to think about, but one was on the bench, I think, and Marty got caught in the corner. So you know what? It was a tough way to swallow, but we were going back home, and we, you're going back home. You got to split in Stanley Cup final, and it just didn't work out. But that year, I think Montreal won. I'm not sure about that series, but I know they won like 9 overtimes that year.
yeah, they did. That was the overtime series, because that ultimately, that game, the Habs tied it on that penalty.
Won in overtime.
Got called on, won in OT. Matter of fact, the Habs went on to win 4 straight and won the Cup that year.
Yeah.
Difficult run, but a great year. It was you had a great run with the LA Kings, and then kind of out of nowhere, I didn't see this coming. And I mean, you tell me, you got traded from the Kings, and just not only the fact that you got traded to the Dallas Stars, which Hitch is involved in the Stars and they wanted you, and I get that, I understand that, but the timing of it, because had you just gotten married at the time? Walk me through what it was like when that trade happened.
Yeah. Actually, we just got married in July '95. So I got married, or I got traded the season of '95, '96, and kind of out of the blue. Obviously, Hitch and some of the people that Hitch had there, knew me. I think Rick Wilson might have been there by that time too, and Rick had me in LA my first couple years. But yeah, that trade is out of the blue. I kept talking. I kind of heard my name a little bit. I'm young. Calling my agent, hey, what's going on? Like, are you hearing anything? I don't know what to do, We have a game that night. And so I go to the game or in morning skate, and it's, normal, but hearing things. And Kelly Rudy came over to me, and Kelly, or I was walking out. I can't remember exactly. I think he came over to me, or I went and talked to him. He's like, just don't ever let them break you. Just you'll be okay. And I got dressed, morning skate, got dressed, went on the ice at the form. I did like maybe 2 laps, and the trainer came and got me. And so that's, morning skates are 10:15, and went home. My wife, we just got married, but she was making pregame for us all, for, Blakey and Alex and myself. We go over there and have pregame. Well, I got traded. I got about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours to get on a plane and head to Miami, meet a new team. So it's a whirlwind of a thing. You don't go anywhere. next time I step on the ice is a pregame warm up because it was an afternoon game in Dallas, so I'm even more nervous. So yeah, it was a whirlwind. Your first trade's always a whirlwind, and that's you look back at it now and it's memories.
It's interesting because I mean the key part of it there was not surprisingly Hitch wanted you back because he saw you play in junior and wanted you to be part of his team, and you guys won the Memorial Cup as you mentioned with the Kamloops Blazers. But it wasn't exactly. I mean, Hitch is a dear friend of mine, so I can say this: Hitch was being Hitch. He did not hold back when he brought you in. It's not like he was exactly cutting you some slack. So, yeah,
No,
what
Hitch,
was that like to get him again?
you know what? Like Hitch had a. I mean, it's like I was coming to these camps at 11 years old here in Kamloops, and you get to know Hitch, and he's never changed. He's
Yeah.
always had a certain way, and I honestly think like he had a certain way of coach of getting all the players so angry or mad at him that you come together as a team and you end up winning, and that's how we did it in Dallas. We joked about it and had fun with them, but we won
There was
at
one
the end of the
particular,
day.
yeah, there's one particular instance where I think Rick Wilson was your assistant at that time, and Hitch kind of turned down the bench and said, "Sit him," because I don't like the way he's playing right now. And so you're sitting there warming the bench, and then you get on the ice. Well, why don't you tell our audience what happens? Do you remember the specific incident where I'm talking about, where you actually got a goal and you made Hitch look like a genius?
That's in Montreal.
Yeah.
I believe it happened in Montreal because I was sat there for a while and then I went back out and I come back and the better part of that is Craig Ludwig says to me, he goes, "There you go. You made him look like a genius." you know, it was, yeah. He just has a knack of doing things and getting you so frustrated that you get refocused. And, it is what it is. I mean, it's stories and stories of guys getting upset and leaving the bench and coming back. And, he has a certain way.
So you had good leadership, but you also had some good teammates. You were part of the Dallas Big Four D corps. That was like that freaking D was unbelievable. Yourself, Darian Hatcher was probably one of the most cut guys I've ever seen in NHL history. I mean, the guy was like a freaking washboard. Sergei Zubov, Richard Matvechuk. I mean, that was
Craig Ludwig and Sean Chambers.
yeah, that was unbelievable D. And you guys gradually started building to the point where in 1999 it all came together. What was your memory of your first Stanley Cup and that Stanley Cup season with the Dallas Stars? What was that like?
Yeah. You're able to look back at it and it's like it was like a blur. Obviously it's your first one, right? But you look back at from where we were, and I go myself going there in 95, 96, and then the other acquisitions that we make to build that with what, Bob Gainey and Hitch and these guys at Pitt, and Army and Craig Button, they built a championship. We won, I don't know how many division titles in a Whit row, but we just couldn't get over that hump. So to get over that hump and then to finally, I think you've seen it all on Mike Badano's face.
Yeah.
When he's finally getting the cup or when he's in one of the videos, like that is just like, it's just like just a bunch of air comes out of a balloon. Like you've finally done it, but it's the build up to it that always hurt. But in the end, that hurt helped you get over the top.
We've had Mike on this show before, and he tells some great stories of what that ride was like for him. What's it like when you finally, you talk about Modano hoisting the cup. What was it like for you when you actually got your hands on the cup and you got to celebrate on the ice like that?
It's, I don't even know if you can describe it. Like, it's first off, when you're getting it, you're thinking, okay, like how heavy it's going to be. Cause you don't know, but you don't even feel it.
I can tell you it's 32 pounds.
Like, yeah, I know, but you don't even feel it. You get it here and it's one rip and it's up and you don't even feel it. It feels like a feather. It's just, it feels like time's just passing you by so quick, right? You're trying to celebrate and do, hold it above. And, it's, you look back and you be able to I love watching videos of it and old, and especially during the pandemic, there was a lot of old replayed hockey games on there that we were able to watch. And I love rewatching video and just kind of going through the memories with that,
What was it like to share with your family and your friends and people who were there for that whole journey for you?
You know what? From the first one to the second one, it was like, you're one day though, you're one day with the cup, the 24 hours, you are happy to see it leave. you know, um,
Explain.
yeah. So it was actually, we had an all nighter that night. We stayed up. It was time for it to go, and then you want to get it back. But um, that's the great thing is seeing just how important this trophy is, not only to hockey players but just fans. Like
Yeah.
it is the greatest trophy in the world, I think, and it's just and the cool thing is sitting down talking with the cup keeper and getting stories of
Yeah.
a few years before, or the older guys. I had buddies that would sit around with the cup keeper. It was like storytelling time, and they're just sitting there with it. And the calmest moment was probably the coolest moment.
Yeah.
Get ready for the game with the Domino's $8.99 mix and match deal. Score big with any medium two-topping pizza and any two items like pastas, stuffed cheesy bread, boneless chicken, or classic chicken wings. Domino's has you covered. Order today from Canada's favorite pizza at domino's.ca.
The thing that stands out for me, for you guys, for our audience sake, you won in 99. You went right back to the cup final in 2000. This time you're facing New Jersey Devils, who had their own style of play, which is dramatically different than pretty much anybody else in the league at that point.
Yeah.
A whole different style of play. You guys took a physical beating. Like when I think back about, what was it like with your bodies? Like you'd gone through from start to finish the previous year. No one played more games than you at that point, and now you're back again the following year. Now, after 2 years, no one's played more games than you guys over that 2-year stretch. What was that like for you physically to have to go through that all again? I mean, obviously you want to go back to back, and you made it to 6 with the Devils, but that must have just killed you guys physically.
Yeah. It's obviously really, really trying, but like even in that, in 99, I mean, we had probably, I think it was 6 or 7 guys getting, injections just to get through torn ligaments or, your knee or shoulder. But in 2 years of playing that, but what one of the kickers is we played the Oilers, I think 4 years in a row. And those series, whether it was the first round or whatever, those series were like, they were awesome to watch, and they were physical too. And then you still have another 2 rounds to go to get there. So it's very taxing. But you just have this mentality as players that you're just going to battle through anything and get it done, but it was also management of what the coaches did throughout the year to have us ready for the right time.
Yeah. I mean, you're being modest about this. I want to bring this up. And for all that are watching on the podcast or listening, go Google Game 6 of the Cup final in 2000. You got to see this video. I'm gonna set up what happens in this, and you tell me what's going through. So it's Game 6 of the Cup final. You're facing the Devils. You and Gomez collide. I guess you're kind of like near the boards, just inside the blue line, and it looked like either your thigh or your knee, and Bill McCreary, a buddy of mine who was the official on that, didn't see what had happened because it happened up at the point, and now the puck's in deep. It doesn't blow the whistle. The play's going on.
Yeah.
And you're not that far from the bench. You could have headed to the bench, but instead you're literally crawling back to the front of the net to try to throw your body. Walk me through what happened there, what you were thinking. Like, it's one of the most incredible pieces of video in Stanley Cup playoff history.
Yeah, it still comes up every year, but you know what? That was we were trying to obviously send a message right off the hop, and Scotty was a heck of a player, and we're out. So I tried to get him. I sneak and step up on him and make a hit. My foot got caught in the boards, and my toe didn't fling, so it kind of got stuck there, and I just fell back. And anyway, so yeah, like I remember Hully yelling at me too. He's like, "What that?" Because I don't know why. I guess I was just trying to get back to help, and I think that was our mentality. So we're going to kind of do whatever, but that was just instinct, and it is what it is. But it just kind of happened behind the play, and Hully got mad at me because I think when I was crawling across the top of the circle, I think I kind of tripped him.
You did. That was the second collision on the same shift. Again,
Yeah.
go Google it. You got to see the video if you haven't seen it. And if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Again, playoff performer. There are guys who would spend their entire careers just to get to the Cup final once. You got there 5 times. A vast majority of the players who played in NHL history have never even got to the Cup final. You won 2 Stanley Cups, which is crazy. You went to the Cup final with the Kings, and you guys lost. Then you won with Dallas. You got back the next year with Dallas. You won with Tampa, and then you lost with the Pittsburgh Penguins. John Tortorella, a buddy of mine, I've known him for years and years and years. Very polarizing figure. in your 2004 season, you're playing for Torts. Give us your insights on that whole dynamic. Help us to understand Tortorella and how he has so much success and can always get the best out of his guys.
Because he cares about his players and he knows his players. And he doesn't only just know his players, but he knows his players. If they're older and they have a wife or kids, he knows them. And that's why he gets a lot out of his players. You know, when I hear things, oh, he's a hard coach, he's hard on that guy, I can't believe it, because I have nothing but my utmost respect for him. He would ask me, hey, how's my wife, how's Shar doing, the kids. Even if I saw him last month, he would remember, so, Torts, that year, Torts is hard, and Torts knows how to push you to what you need to do to go. Maybe a little bit different than Hitch, but Torts is more vocal about it. But we also had Craig Ramsay on the back end, and they were the commune. They were the kind of back and forth type thing where, one is hard, perfect coaching one-on-one, good cop, bad cop type thing.
Yeah.
But they come together and it was the same. Everybody preached the same thing. And he got the best out of everybody, whether they liked it or not. I mean, the couple of times that I won, the same thing with Hitch, that he got the best out of everybody. Not everybody loved him because they were hard on him, but in the end we win, and what you saw the other day with what Torts did, with having the boys' dad out, that is John Tortorella. That's him. He cares about people. He cares about families.
Yeah, it was amazing. When Tampa brought you in that year, obviously a big part of it was they really believed in what they had there as a team, but they wanted a proven winner in there. Your role was different in '99 with Dallas than it was in 2004 with Tampa. When they brought you in, what were the conversations like? What were they saying to you in terms of what they were hoping to get out of you? And what were your conversations like with guys in the room? Because I was lucky enough to cover that Cup final, and I was flying back and forth, which incidentally was a brutal charter. It's a long way to go back and forth.
Yeah.
It was a brutal,
that is.
between Calgary and Tampa. But tell me about your role when they brought you in, what they were asking you to do that time, and how that all played out.
Well, yeah, totally different styles of probably what I brought to the team at that point, right? And so obviously I've been able to learn under some great leadership in Ludwig and Guy Carbonneau and Hatch and all these guys and Newey. So I knew I was coming in. I knew I was kind of maybe, the back third of whatever my career. I knew I was coming in, and I knew what winning took. And not to sound sarcastic, but I knew that it took, mentorship or, somebody, leadership over here, let them do what they do. I was coming in, and it was just like, okay, you let me know what you need. Right. And they don't think they started off well that year. And then they started going on a run, and then that traded. I think they were in Calgary at the time, and then the trade. And not only did I adjusted to being a different player and more defending, more of a leadership, more with the Dave Anderchuk's and Tim Taylor's type thing, and bring up these young guys up into what kind of winning or what it takes to win. So yeah, it was also a style of play. I come from an Ken Hitchcocker style or Dallas style. You get the puck, it's D to D, it's in, we forecheck, we work off that. This one here, Craig Ramsay, I think I touched the puck 3 times in the first 10 seconds. And I'm like, what's going on? So you have to learn a new game too, and a new system that you just start back at your basics, and you start at what am I good at? All right. So then I'll just work, and where I can fit that. Any championship, you always hear it. It's, pieces of the puzzle. Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be part of a really good team and kind of just ride along.
I want to pick up on something that you mentioned before, and you've been pretty open about your own personal journey, because you mentioned the fact the injections, for the pain, the physical beating your body took. So there's two very different levels that are going on here simultaneously. One is what's happening on the ice, physically, and then how that affects you emotionally off of the ice. And while 2004 was an incredible year on the ice for you, winning your second Stanley Cup with Tampa, it was also a very difficult time for you personally. To the extent that you feel comfortable, can you share about your personal off ice journey that you were going through in 2004 and the years leading up to that? Because there were some difficult moments for you on a personal level in that window.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, in recovery it was just a certain, obviously I'm addicted to alcohol, and in recovery now and going well. But there's times where, you're just in this mindset of just going and going and going, and there was no relief, right? And that's where I fell to. I fell to answers of, in a bottle, and that truth wasn't there. But it's a trying time, and you see a lot of players going through it. And I've been through it for many years. It's trying every day, and it's something that you don't speak about. But now, obviously, I'm more comfortable in speaking about it. And probably it started. It's all about control for me, and it's something that I didn't have under control, even though I had the willpower. So I had the willpower to be a good hockey player and to battle through different things. But willpower doesn't win you in recovery or being sober. It's a willingness, and the willingness to speak, the willingness to ask for help, which is probably the biggest hurdle. And everybody says that when you need help and picking up that phone, it's about 50 pounds, right? Because you're going to speak it out. There's going to be a lot coming out of you. So, it's, you got to be willing, and obviously it's been a journey, but things today are great.
I'm so glad to hear that you're doing so well. Everybody has to deal with this on their own personal level, how they feel most comfortable. Some are very, very private. We've had many of your peers come onto the show and actually talk very publicly about their journey. Why has it been so important to you to be as public with this? I mean, is it you're trying to help other kids who are coming behind you who may be going through similar things, or why was it important for you to go public with your journey and in support of others who may be facing the similar challenges?
Well, for the first few years, you didn't want it to be public. You wanted to try and still fight this thing in the background, right? And just knowing that's not how it works. You can't attack it that way, or try and build up your recovery through being in the back and not doing the work. And part of being sober now and in recovery is not only giving back, but you know what? You go to your first AA meeting and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I got a different story than everybody, and you get in there, it's like, that's kind of me. That's me. We're in there together. And so why not be able to share my story and speak my, I can get in depth of, detail, but maybe there's somebody out there that says, hey, maybe I can contact him and he can help me. I'm kind of going through the same things, but especially in sports, especially in hockey, we're looked at as these big monsters, but we're human beings inside.
Yeah. It's so easy for us to that you're mortal. Like sometimes we forget mortality, and we just, NHLers and successful NHLers like yourself just seem other dimensional. Like there's nothing that gets to you. I know it's been a difficult journey for you, man. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate your openness and sharing this, because this kind of openness to come from somebody of your stature, somebody who's had your success, it means a lot. It means a lot. And
well, to me, it's, you know what? It just, if I can, help one person today, everybody says that, but it truly does mean it. I truly do mean it, that, it's whatever does come, I owe it to not only my family, but I owe it to myself. First and foremost is to be healthy and be able to speak about it, because if nobody knows and you're not speaking, and this is why we always have, trying to get people to speak about it, to help out.
I can't tell you how much I've appreciated you sharing your story and taking this time. You're so generous with your time. I'm so glad you're enjoying Kamloops again.
Yeah. Thank you. No, Kamloops is great. So
I appreciate it. Hey, listen, before you go, we do a thing we call 5 Fast Facts, where I ask you 5 quick questions and you give me 5 quick answers. You're down for trying it?
I'll try.
All right, here we go. It's time now for 5 Fast Facts with 2-time Stanley Cup champion Darryl Sydor. Who was the best teammate that you ever played with, and why?
Mike Modano.
Oh,
first guy I kind of met in Dallas, and he kind of brought me kind of under his wing there.
And one of the greatest of all time, Hockey Hall of Famer. Who was the best coach? Who was the best coach you ever played for? I think this one's kind of easy.
Yeah, well, it's a trick question. Both coaches, I think John Tortorella and Ken Hitchcock. Ken Hitchcock might have the upper hand. I've known him for so many years, and he's not only helped me with my hockey, but obviously my career, where it started here.
Who did you hate playing against the most, and why?
Yeah, my Jagger and the Sedin twins. But Zuby and I figured out the Sedin twins.
You did, and it worked out well for you. If you could go back and tell your 15-year-old self something, what do you know today that you wish you knew back then as a 15-year-old?
Oh, stretch.
I got to tell you, I've had a lot of answers for that one. That's the first time anyone's ever said stretch. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
One final question for you. If you hadn't become a professional hockey player, what do you think plan B was for you for a career instead?
I think it was going to be either a policeman or a fireman.
You know what? You would have done that as well. But we're all glad as hockey fans that you chose the hockey route, and we loved watching you celebrate your 2 cups. Thanks again for this, my friend. I'm so glad
thank you.
You're so well.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and it's good to catch up.
Two-time Stanley Cup champion Darryl Sydor has been our guest. The Overtime Podcast is proudly presented by Domino's Pizza and Athletes Care. Whether you're hitting the ice with the team or watching the big game at home, Domino's has you covered. You can score big with medium 2-topping pizzas, pastas, stuffed cheesy bread, boneless chicken, or classic chicken wings with the $8.99 Domino's Mix and Match deal. Any 2 items for only $8.99, so don't go into overtime hungry. Grab a couple of game winners from Canada's favorite pizza at Domino's.ca. And Athletes Care. Athletes Care is proud to be celebrating its 26th year offering sports and medicine services to both elite athletes and the general population who require rehab for a new or chronic injury or pain. Go to where the best go. Athletes Care Sports Medicine Clinics with 26 locations in the Greater Toronto Area and Ottawa. Hey, if you missed any parts of the show, don't worry. Visit our website at overtimepodcast.ca, where you can both listen, subscribe to future shows as well. The Domino's Pizza Overtime Podcast can be found on Spotify, iTunes Podcasts, or any of your favorite podcast platforms as well. Check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at O-Time Podcast. Until next week, I'm Gino Retta saying so long, hockey fans, and thanks for joining us on the Domino's Overtime Podcast.